Hi, today I'm playing my Frankenstrat. Bought it for $60 because it was in a fire, and I don't even know if it had a neck on it when I bought it. That was a long time ago. I put this Kramer neck on it and rewired it and did all kinds of other strange things to it, but I like it. Today we're going to talk about the modes, what they are, where they come from, and why do we care. Well, there's two reasons you would care. For one, it'll enable you eventually to learn where every note is all up and down the neck, what its relationship is to every other note, and how hopefully they all sound, all the intervals and distances between them sound. We'll start out by looking at the 7 modes in C. Now, last time we talked about the C major scale, the C Ionian mode. That's the number 1 mode of the key. And we make number 1 the C because we're in C Ionian. Now, we can take those same 7 notes and make any of the other notes number 1, which is going to change the sound of the mode because it's going to change where those half steps land. For example, in C Ionian, you have the half step between 3 and 4, and between 7 and 1. If we were to take number 2, the D, and now make that the number 1, what's going to happen is the half step stays in the same place, so we're still in the same key, but now our half step is between the 2nd and 3rd, which changes the whole mood and flavor of the mode. And between 6 and 7, which will give us sounds like this. Now let's look at a chart where I've written out all of the 7 modes in the key of C, and you can see both the intervals, the distances between them, how they change, and the names. We have our number 1, which is Ionian, number 2, Dorian, number 3, Phrygian, number 4 is Lydian, number 5, Mixolydian, number 6 is Aeolian, and the number 7, Locrian, which maybe is called Locrian, I don't know, I call it Locrian. Anyway, let's take all these 7 modes and we'll line them up now, so that you can see that obviously 1 is in the same position. Some of the modes are almost the same except for slight changes. For example, the Ionian to the Lydian, the only difference is the 4 moves up. It's a sharp 4, and now it's next to the 5. Every other note is the same. Same thing with the Mixolydian compared to the Ionian. Every note is the same until you get to number 7, which is a flat 7. What we're going to do is go through the modes in this order so that you can see the differences. That'll make them a lot easier to learn and memorize, and then we'll put it all together in a key. Now, as with the C Ionian, we started with the C, and that was at the 8th fret on the 6th string, first finger, which is a lot of times people will call this a 6-1 shape, 6-1 form. Now, you could just as easily start that anywhere you want. If you started on A, that's our A Ionian. Started on G, you got a G Ionian, and so on. What I would suggest is, as we learn these modes, try them all over the neck. Up here, the frets are closer together. It's easier to reach things. As you get down here, you got a little bit more of a stretch, so practice them up where it's easiest. Now, if you were to look at this chart, you'll notice that I've numbered the modes 1 through 7, and I'm using Roman numerals for the modes to contrast that with using the Arabic numerals for the numbers of the tones in each mode. Also, I use capital Roman numerals and small Roman numerals. The capitals are majors, and the small lowercase are minors. And if we were to say, take the key of G, walk our way up through the chords, our number 1 chord is a major, 2 and 3 are minors, 4 is a major, our 5 is the dominant because it has a flat 7, our number 6 is a minor again, and number 7 is our half diminished. That's why I put that little circle with the slash next to the number 7. That's the symbol that's commonly used for half diminished. And that's if we were to take the 1, 3, 5, and 7 out of that mode, they would form a half diminished chord. Now, let's take a look at the circle of fifths, which is really important for understanding music theory. There's a lot to be gained from it. If you were to look at the key of C in the circle of fifths, you'll notice that these 3 major chords, C, F, and G, are right next to each other. Every key has 3 major chords, 3 minor chords, and 1 half diminished chord. So we have our F, C, G are major, D, A, and E are minor, B is our half diminished. The reason that the C Ionian and the F Lydian are so similar is because they're adjacent in the circle. If you were to look at that C Ionian again, half step from 3 to 4, half step from 7 to 1, contrast that with the F Lydian, that F sharp, the sharp 4, gives it a whole different sound. Could be used for different moods, and more importantly, playing through these, you're going to start to hear the differences between a 4 and a sharp 4. Here's a song that you probably know has a sharp 4 in it. That's the sharp 4. That's thrown in there so that we can have a dominant 2, which does not belong in that key, but it's in there anyway. And it gives it that certain flavor, that push upwards. As you get familiar with how these numbers sound, you'll be able to hopefully, ultimately, be able to hear any note and know right away, like, oh, that's a sharp 4, that's a flat 7, that's a, augmented 11. If the 4 was in a chord and it was a part of the extended arpeggio. I don't call myself the modal guitarist. Really, the goal is for us all to become modal guitarists. So, let's go back to looking at our Ionian again. We have our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The 1 to 4, that's our actually C to F, adjacent in the circle, and it's called a perfect fourth. 1 to 5, C to G, that's a perfect fifth. Those are again adjacent in the circle. You'll notice up at the octave, we have a 1 again. The distance from 5 to 1 looks just like the distance from 1 to 4 did. The distance from 4 up to 1 looks the same as the distance from 1 to 5. This is where you get your power chords, or your 1-5 chords, or the 4 with the 1 above it. Because they only have the 1s and 4s in them, and if you look at the chart, you'll notice that the 1s, 4s, and 5s stay the same, or I'm sorry, the 1s and the 5s stay the same in all the modes except for 1. The 1s and 4s stayed all the same except for 1, but anyway. Our 1, 4, 1, 5, 1 could be used as a power chord, and then a 3, a a major 3 or a flat 3 will distinguish if we're having a major chord or a minor chord. So we have our Lydian. Again, we can take this Lydian shape, sharp 4, we can play it starting in any fret, and if we were to start it, say, on a B, now we got a B Lydian, got that sharp 4 in there. A common chord progression, maybe I won't start in B because that's not in a comfortable key, but say if we were to start in A, our sharp 4 gives it that certain flavor, and also it's going to change the chords that work with it. The arpeggio that comes out of a Lydian is a major 7th if we start on the 1. Now, the next mode up, if we were to start on the 2, it gives us a B7. A chord and a B7. Time that you would use a Lydian. Next in the mode we're going to look at, again, only one note difference, the number 5 mode, the Mixolydian. We'll stay in A, make that our number 1, and now we have all of the notes same as Ionian, but with a flat 7. This is great for the blues, great for any time you got a 7th chord. This one is going to look the opposite as the last progression. If we were to take a major chord and stack it with a major chord underneath it, that's when we would use the Mixolydian. For example, if I was to have I should point out that if we've been doing these modes all up and down on one string, as well as across the 2 octaves, what you'll be able to do is now extrapolate or extend and say, well, I know we got all the way up to a 1 here, but we could keep going and say, well, there's a 2, there's a 3, there's a 4 and a 5, or if you're in the middle, it might be difficult to reach, say, for 4 over here, so you might say, I know the 4 is under the 5, I'll reach for it there instead. It just wherever your fingers happen to be. What I would suggest is play through these modes. A, Ionian. The A Lydian, A Mixolydian, going upward, going down again. Try the different melodic patterns and intervals in them, or 3-note, 4-note, 5-note patterns. Thirds, fourths, and fifths, normal and inverted versions of them. Play through the arpeggios of each. The 1, 3, 5s are the same in all 3 of those modes. The 1, 3, 5, and 7 is the same in the Ionian and Lydian, but in the mixed Lydian, we have our flat 7. Play around with these, try them all out. Let me know if you have any suggestions, comments, criticisms, and please subscribe so that I can keep doing this, and then you'll be informed of more videos as they come out. Thank you.